You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. A lot going on in the Mammoth world at the moment. Let's talk about it with our good friend. He makes his appearance weekly on the show. He's our good buddy Nick Olczyk, part of the the Mammoth broadcast, radio, TV. He does it all, and he's nice enough to jump on with us. What's up, Nick?
Jake and Ben, great to be with you guys. A hell of a start for the Mammoth here at the beginning of the season, and for those that may not have known, I'm sure we'll get into it, but some big news for a young fella here on the squad lately. So an exciting time, and it's kind of crazy. We got 4 days off from the last game until the next game, something that's pretty rare this year considering the condensed schedule because of the Olympic break in February. But lots to talk about, and always happy to join you guys.
Nick, it is pretty amazing to look at the standings in the Western Conference right now, and the Mammoth are sitting atop with 16 points. They're tied with the Avalanche. They're just ahead of the Golden Knights. But 8-3-0, largely because of how successful this road trip was. Outside of a pretty difficult second period against the Oilers, they have just been playing lights out. What have you seen from the team?
Yeah, I just think there's such great combination on this roster right now of the mix. And by the mix, I'm talking about the roster makeup, and that's the concoction of Bill Armstrong, Utah Mammoth general manager, and his staff for putting together a team that has the mixture of old guys, and by old guys, I mean experienced guys, with some young players that are really trying to break through and come into their own as they get more experience in the National Hockey League. And it's such a delicate balance to strike because if you have too much of one, you're going to be lacking in different areas. But you think about the likes of Ian Cole, still very much it's such an important part to this team's defense core, guy that's won a Stanley Cup ×2. But still there being plenty of space and room for a guy like Dmitry Simashev at 20 years old who has not at all looked out of place. So when you talk about the great start, the first thing I look towards is how the roster is constructed. And in terms of games played, the seventh least experienced forward group, while you've got the seventh most experienced defense core in terms of total games played and experience in the National Hockey League. So I feel like that's a great mix for when you're going to go through this 82-game grind and through 11 games to be sitting third in the National Hockey League. It's special because there's been great starts from important pieces. Dylan Guenther's gotten off to a fantastic start. Same you could say for Logan Cooley and Mikhail Sergachev, especially lately. And, oh, by the way, the guys in net who you have needed to be the backbone and will continue to need to be the backbone. I know the tough second period in Edmonton, including a couple of unbelievable bounces that the Oilers got. But overall, everybody seems to be clicking on the same wavelength. And for this team that plays fast, that's creative, that relies on their young guys and it doesn't hide them, it's been a special time, but it just feels like everything right now is clicking on all cylinders. I know these guys are excited to get back home for an afternoon game on Sunday and then right back out on the road for a couple games out east and into Eastern Canada.
Nick, so you brought up the Logan Cooley signing, which obviously is a big deal this week, and I thought the press conference was really fascinating, and Ryan Smith saying, and he said this before, but reaffirming, they're all in. They're going to, commit the resources that they need to commit. And he also talked about how nice it is in the NHL to be able to build long-term around some of these guys. Of course, we know Dylan Guenther. So I guess my question is, talk about that process of building long-term. But my other part of the question is, if Ryan weren't committed financially, and I'm not trying to necessarily throw the previous ownership under the bus, but because there are other, I'm sure NHL organizations that run it on the cheap, what is the alternative? What do they do with these guys? Like build them up and ship them off? Or, it just seems like investing long-term is a no-brainer.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you. I think it's for sure a case where you just had to get this done. And for a guy that was chosen third overall back in 2022 and has been a stud probably ever since he put on skates since he was a young guy, those are the types of deals that no matter what, whether you're an owner that has a lot and these guys have a lot and is willing to spend it or not, when you have a franchise number one center, you got to find a way to get the deal locked up. And with where the salary cap is going, it's only going to continue to increase. It sounds like the predicted cap is going to be blown through the roof in terms of the next couple of years. This was a deal that did it take a little longer? Yeah, but you kind of knew that it was going to get done. And when you have an owner like Ryan Smith, like his wife Ashley Smith too, these two have made it very clear from day one that they are going to put the Mammoth in the best position possible to succeed. And when that's the case, you look at all the successful teams throughout NHL history and recent memory that have won Stanley Cups, aside from a great goalie and a solid defense core, the number one commonality between those teams is that you have got a star-stud number one center. You think of the days when the LA Kings were the best team in the league. They had Anze Kopitar. When you look at the Bruins, they had Patrice Bergeron, the Chicago Blackhawks, Jonathan Toews, so on and so forth. You need to have that star number one center. And while Logan Cooley maybe isn't 6'3", 220 pounds, that's going to go out and play more of a grinding style, he has something that only one other player has in this league in terms of maximum speed this year. Looking at the NHL Edge tracking data, there's only one player that has skated faster than him, and that's Connor McDavid in terms of a maximum speed this year. So when you build through and with players that have skill sets that are the top 1% of the league, that's going to lead to success for a long time. So whether it's the unbelievably hockey rink in a Ritz-Carlton type of practice facility down in Sandy, or the renovations at Delta Center, or proving that they want young guys to want to be here and they're going to show up for them on the financial side. And that's one thing you can never knock Ryan Smith for anything in terms of especially his willingness to lock up young players and show them that for as much as the player wants to be here, the city, the state, the team, the organization wants them to be here. And I'll tell you what, with where the cap is going, $10 million sounds like a lot right now. And yes, 2 times a month starting next year, there's going to be a noise that Logan is going to hear in his driveway, and it's going to be beep, beep, beep. That's the Brinks truck backing up into his driveway twice a month. The investment from ownership and Ryan Smith has been spectacular, and that's the type of guy that you want to build around.
So you touched on it there, and I'm curious, it's kind of a two-part question. A, is $10 million just too much for a player like Logan Cooley, or what does he have to do to prove that he's worth it? And then B, does the fact that Dylan Guenther barely makes over $7 million a year make it maybe even a little easier to swallow that those two guys are locked up for $17 million total over the next decade, basically?
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy because of the time of which those two contracts were signed. I think we've got a little bit better idea of where the cap is going to go. And so when you try to predict this out into the next couple of years and with where the cap is going, where Logan's going to be, at about under that 10% of the cap in terms of his average annual value, it's one of those things that it's based on timing. It's also what the player wants. I mean, there is no question that Dylan Guenther contract looks little over $7 million. That's a ton of money. And considering the term and length at which Dylan Guenther signed it, he's going to get another heck of a deal when he's in his late 20s. But for Logan Cooley, is $10 million too much? No, because I think that's the going rate for a franchise center. It wasn't all that long ago that, and it's not to say Logan Cooley isn't the best player in the league. He's certainly, hoping to become that one day, but it wasn't all that long ago that the likes of Connor McDavid and Austin Matthews, those guys that have been doing it for a long time, when those guys were in that $9 to $10 million range, and now you see a guy like Kirill Kaprizov, the the most wealthy contract in NHL history. He's making $17 a year. So when you're talking about a young franchise center who is signing his first big ticket, when you're talking about 8 years, $80 million total at an AAV, average annual value of $10 million, that is the going rate. And so I think for everybody involved, it's great to see that the deal done. And it was funny how Bill had hinted at the press conference there the other day that the deal had been done for a little while, and perhaps maybe going into that road trip is when it was done. And you see what Logan did on the score sheet, seemingly putting up a couple of points each and every game. So look, that's a lot of money. I don't care what sport you're playing, and hockey players compared to other sports are it's not even the same structure in terms of the star in the league getting paid, in some other leagues, what a guy on the bench would be getting paid. But that's a lot of money for a young kid, and Logan is such a mature young man. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and so a well-deserved payday for him. But the one thing and I've had the chance to be around him a little bit and talk to him at the rink, he's not the type of guy that says, okay, I cashed my check and now I can mail it in. He's going to continue to work even harder and prove that he is one of the best young centers in the entire National Hockey League.
Now, Nick, I know you are an optimist at heart, so this may be difficult. But, Mike, everybody's riding high about the Mammoth right now. If they were to not achieve their goals or their standards, what would that be? What is maybe the shortfall of this team?
It's a hard question because of what they've shown us to this point. And also what the standards and expectations are, which is to make the playoffs this year. But as you know, anything can happen over the course of a season. But honestly, yes, eternal optimist, no doubt, but also very much a realist too. And if I really look at this team through those realist lenses, the mix of the roster, where this team and organization is at in their build to try to become a consistent playoff team and a Stanley Cup contender one day, I don't know if there's room to even think about, okay, well, what if? Okay, if they don't make the playoffs, then okay, there's going to be more work needed to be done this summer, and no question, General Manager Bill Armstrong is going to be all over that. But from what I see on a day-to-day basis with the roster, with the coaching, and head coach Andre Tourigny and having such a heartbeat of the team and knowing what buttons to push and knowing his players as well as he does. If when we're speaking in ifs here, if they don't make the playoffs, okay, well that means that something went awry and certain additions or subtractions need to be made to the roster, but or the way that they do things. But with the start that they've gotten off to, just having come off a 7-game win streak, and it was one rough period after they played a pretty darn good first period where they were up 2-0 against a team that's been to the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years, that being the Edmonton Oilers. If standards and expectations aren't met, the one thing that I have seen on a day-to-day basis with this organization is that they're going to not middle in mediocrity. They are going to make the changes and do what they need to do in order to reach and exceed the expectations that have been set forth. So still early in the year. And the one thing I think that has really stood out to me is the comments from Andre Tourigny and the players when asked about the winning streak and, oh my gosh, the streak is over. What are you going to do now? Is the sky falling? No, they said they're not going to get too high when you win games, and you can't get too low when you lose games, because the reality is that early in the year, whether you win 15 in a row or whether you lose 15 in a row, you can't make the playoffs early in the year, but you can certainly dig yourself a hole. And if it was the latter, losing a bunch, okay, then now there's some room for panic. But this team's sitting top 3 in the National Hockey League right now, so there is a lot of reason for optimism. But knowing that, yes, there was a 7-game win streak, at some point there's going to be a pothole, and it's about how this group can battle through those moments. And that's why at the very beginning of the interview, you talk about older guys, experienced players, veterans. When the dog days of the season come or you go through a rough patch, that's where you got to rely on them. But look, it's an unbelievable start to the year for this team. A lot of excitement around the Mammoth, rightfully so. And looking forward to getting back at it on Sunday against a team that maybe hasn't had the best start, but is still one of the premier franchises in the National Hockey League, that being the Tampa Bay Lightning.
If they hit the pothole that you're talking about, I'm blaming Dominic Moore. I'm blaming Dom. It's Dom's fault.
Why are you blaming Dom?
We need more Nick Olczyk on the broadcast. Dom's stepping all over you.
No, we got a hell of a crew, guys. I mean, I'm not only honored and so fortunate to be part of this organization, but to get a chance to work with Matty McConnell, who's I think been calling games since the TVs were black and white, and
Original
and Dom
Six
Moore
broadcaster, yeah.
And Dom Moore having the incredible career that he did, and Kim Becker in the studio, and Sarah Merrifield reporting, and Mikey Folt on the radio. We got a great crew, so it's always a ton of fun.
What are you going to be for Halloween, Nick?
You know what? I've always been a hockey player. But
easy for you.
This year, I'm actually planning on Halloween to be at Delta Center. There's kind of a 2-day WWE experience going on. So we got Friday Night SmackDown on Halloween, and then on the 1st, it's Saturday night's main event. I'm a big WWE guy. Grew up with it, and try to watch it and follow it as much as I can now. So those are my plans. Maybe I'll be dressing up in some jorts and be like John Cena at the wrestling event. So we'll see.
Mick Foley, yeah. Throw on the old lumberjack and get out there.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Is Jake the Snake still a guy?
He is, yeah. He's still like the number one guy.
Still is?
Yeah, he's still top of the game.
That's a run.
Yep, he is, yeah.
That's a run.
Since the early 90s, he's really going.
Nick Olczyk, we are a big fan of yours. Thank you for jumping
Nick.
on with us, man. We appreciate it.
Right back at you, boys. Always happy to help, and you guys have a great rest of the day. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, Nick.
I like Dom. I like Dominic Moore. I've not met him, but I like the broadcast. So
I don't like him as much as Nick.
well, he doesn't come on the show.
Well, Dom should shut his pie hole and let Nick talk.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I know. I got it.
Nick
I agree.
wouldn't take the bait.
Yeah.
Nick would not take the bait. No, Dom could actually probably talk a little bit more, and that's not a knock on him. He just he has really good insights. I think the more he talks, the smarter I'm going to get. So talk more, Dom.
Yeah, whatever. Is his name Nick Olczyk, and is he coming on the show on Thursdays?
No, he's not.
Well, then let's get Nick some more time.
Don't want to hear him.
Although there is a better than average chance I could run into Dom sometime in the near future, so maybe I should watch what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now. You've got a target on your back.
Nah, that's
Yeah,
all right. I got
right.
Nick's back.
I can't believe you said that about Dom. Can't believe you said that about Dominic Moore, longtime NHL player.
I'm a Nick Olczyk guy. What do you want from me? He's sitting down there in between the boxes,
Yeah, he is.
putting his face in there. Did he get hit in the face last year?
No, hitting the rump.
Got hit in the other cheek.
In the
Oh, yeah.
posterior.
That's right. Forgot about that.
I was
Wrestling
at
guy.
that game.
Wrestling guy, okay. I'm going to the Rangers game coming up next month, so I'm excited for that.
The Rangers, is that a wrestling team?
Yeah, it is. Jake the
That's-
Snake plays for him.
That's coming in this weekend?
Mhm.
The Rangers?
The Wranglers.
Oh, it's the
Snake
Wranglers.
Wranglers.
Oh,
Yeah.
let's see. No, I felt so dumb in the studio yesterday. We're sitting there with all the broadcast assistants, and they had a famous wrestler on the TV broadcast.
Uh-huh.
And I looked right at Jamil and Jalen and Hunter. I was like, I know I should probably know, but who is that? And they looked at me like, are you serious?
I'm
dude?
with you. If you haven't made it onto national movies, if you haven't turned into The Rock or you haven't turned into John Cena, I'm probably not going to recognize you. Mick Foley may be the exception.
Well, what's his name was a governor.
Jesse.
Uh-huh.
Almost drafted him yesterday
Yeah,
from
you
Minnesota.
did.
Yeah, you've got to break through. You've got to
is-
break through outside of WWE.
Is he the highest achieving professional wrestler? And not like Olympic professional wrestler?
No, The
but
Rock.
like-
Rock
But The
is
Rock's
way
not
bigger.
governor.
Uh,
Governor of one of these 50 states? That's a big deal.
The Rock could easily win a governorship if he wanted to. He would win a governor race. Cake. If Arnold could do it in California as a Republican, then The Rock could run on whatever platform he wants to and win in any state he wants to.
Yeah, the governor won on a recall election, which makes it a little bit different. But
I think he won twice, though,
I
right?
hear what you're saying. Did he get reelected?
I think
don't
he
know if
served for
did.
8 years.
Yeah. All right, we'll get to more coming up next. It is the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody gets you ready for Utah football more than the KSL Sports Zone.
Ready?
The Utes get set for another huge Big 12 game as they square off against Cincinnati. Your home for the best coverage of Utah football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thanks for making us part of your Thursday. Hey, Ben, can we talk about a national college football story for 1 second?
Sure.
And we can get back to the Utes and my Bearcats coming up. But I'm sure you saw this yesterday, that well, actually, let me preface it by saying this. I never thought I would ever see like an NBA coach arrested during the season.
Sure.
For some sort of mob-related gambling scheme. It feels like we're seeing a lot of things that I never would have thought I would have seen. Did you see yesterday that the governor of Louisiana, whose name is Jeff Landry, came out during a press conference and weighed in on not only the LSU football team and their coaching search, but also the athletic director, who he basically decapitated and said that he will not be searching for the new LSU football coach, and made a big grandstanding thing about it. It said he'd rather let Donald Trump hire the football coach than the sitting athletic director.
Is this because Brian Kelly was so mediocre?
Or whose name is Scott Woodward, by the way, the AD. Yeah, probably the payout has something to do with it.
Isn't a private donor paying for this buyout?
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's not like this is coming out of the state of Louisiana's budget to pay Brian Kelly to go away.
Listen, honestly, I think you're splitting hairs a little bit. Like, what is it? Why is the governor weighing in on this? Yes, the governor is above the university system in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But we're really seeing a sitting governor come out and weigh in on a coaching situation?
Sports
Are you
washing.
kidding?
Yeah, it's
Can you
sports
imagine if Spencer Cox was like, yes, I'm going to tell Mark Harlan exactly what to do? It'd be like, yeah, governor, I guess you could technically do that under your purview.
Yeah,
but what are you doing?
Governor Cox is a fan, obviously. He's a big Jazz fan, and he's talked a lot about the Jazz in his life. But yes, he's not out there being like, hey, guess what, Ryan Smith? You're giving Lowry Market an extension. Otherwise, we're blocking your ability to expand downtown.
Spencer Cox didn't hire Bronco.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess you could be involved in that because it's a public university, but what are you doing? I remember when the Utah Attorney General at the time got involved in the BCS conversation, which actually he was somewhat relevant given that the Mountain West and specifically Utah and BYU in that conversation as well were part of that whole antitrust stuff. But for the most part, the AG was just getting involved because it was popular amongst his constituency. I don't see any purpose in this.
It's because of the question I asked, is people are wondering, because it's Louisiana State University, if the state is paying for it, if the taxpayers are paying for Brian Kelly's contract and then paying for the buyout. And this is what Governor Landry said. He says, my role is about the fiscal effect of firing a coach under a terrible contract. All I care about is what the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for. Yahoo Sports but then says, while LSU's athletic department is traditionally self-funded and supported by private donors, some of whom have pledged to cover Kelly's buyout, Landry made it clear he's not willing to let history repeat itself. If big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I've got to go find $53 million, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. So that's why he's weighing in. But no, I don't think that's going to be something he actually has to do.
Governor, your school president signed the contract. You're going to start taking responsibility for that? That's a slippery slope you don't want to go down.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I saw the Sandusky scandal go all the way up to the top of Penn State's hierarchy as a university. Imagine if it went up to the governor, because all of a sudden you're taking responsibility for things that
state employees. Every state employee
are beneath you, frankly.
Yeah, agreed, beneath you. And I get Kyle Whittingham's the highest paid government employee in the state of Utah. Like, those things are true, and thus, if you are the head of the government or the face of the government, you probably feel some responsibility, even if you don't bear it.
It's the president of the school's responsibility. Period. End of story. Then remove the president of the school. Somebody signed that contract. They didn't. LSU offered that contract. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
They offered that they had a role in it. That means that, Governor, this is not, and well, I shouldn't make light of that. This is not, and I wouldn't be making light, I guess, but a natural disaster that came out of nowhere.
Right.
This is something that you created. You signed Bozo Brian Kelly. 3/4 of the college football world could have told you what a bozo that dude is. You signed him to a crazy deal. And by the way, guess where this athletic director, Bozo, hired by the state of Louisiana, the athletic director, do you know what his previous spot was?
Notre Dame?
Before the Tigers? No.
Where was he?
Think of, let me put it this way. Think of the most bozo hire from a financial standpoint maybe ever.
Who was it?
He was at Texas A&M.
Oh.
Before he was at LSU.
Jimbo?
He was the one who gave Jimbo that bananas deal.
Yeah, that's great.
So, Governor, you hired
me,
the guy, because you're taking responsibility for the university's actions now. You hired a guy assigned the worst coaching contract in the history of college sports.
Jimbo was at Florida State and went to A&M for $80 million or whatever it was.
It was more?
Yeah. Crazy.
Then you backed it up with the second worst contract of all time to Brian Kelly. You hired that guy. Your school president hired that guy.
Governor Landry went on to say, I'm not going to be picking the next coach, but I can promise you we're going to pick a coach and we're going to make sure that coach is successful. Isn't that exactly the... What the 5 hands say to the face? Isn't that...
Dude, and you know what? If I'm
LA Times, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm
But
any
Rick
coach,
James, he says, I'm not going to be picking the next coach, but I can promise you we're going to pick a coach.
No, it's the shoes on the couch.
Yeah.
You
I
picked
didn't
the
put my
metaphor.
shoes on his couch.
I put my shoes
I
on
just couldn't
his
remember
couch.
Rick James's name. He says, but then he says, and this is what's curious to me and why I wonder if they're not going to get a good coach. He says, we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly.
Yeah. No. Listen. If you are a coach, do you remember Gary Anderson working at Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
A big part of his problem was that Barry Alvarez was like in the office next door. His AD was his predecessor as the football coach and made it a little awkward. If you are the lane train, are you taking LSU's job knowing that the governor of the state is going to be all up in your business?
Right.
Heck no.
No, you're not.
Heck no. I got to take phone calls from the dang governor?
If I was Florida or Penn State with an open job, I'd say, you have carte blanche. It's all yours.
Old, what's his name in Florida? Old Ronnie D isn't going to bug you.
Yeah.
Not
He's
Ron
still the
Duncan.
governor?
Ron
Is DeSantis still the governor?
DeSantis.
Yeah, he is still. I thought he had to back out. I thought he was going to back out to take another role. He didn't do that, right?
No.
Rubio took it.
Yes. They needed a new senator.
That's right. Landry goes on, I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers to foot the bill. I think everyone feels that way. That's fine.
Can you imagine if Witt had to field calls from the governor? How little patience he would have for that?
Yeah. Hang up on him.
Hey, Coach Witt, I
No,
think that fly sweep in the third was a bad call.
He would say, I went to analytics. He said, we'll take it up with the analytics, Governor.
He'd take the call right next to the jugs machine.
Yeah, right. Since taking office in January 2024, Landry has appointed 9 of the 18 board members and will have an opportunity to appoint 4 more in 2026. That's who's in charge of LSU's leadership. Landry also took aim at the agents behind these massive contracts, calling out Trace Armstrong, Brian Kelly's agent, and Jimmy Sexton, Jimbo Fisher's agent. This is ridiculous. Lawyers could be disbarred for the way these agents act.
Oh, that
it's really
could be
time for
true.
the NCAA to put on some guardrails in college. Hey, you know what? If I'm a bozo head coach and I'm trying to get my last contract, I'm hiring Brian Kelly's agent and I'm hiring Jimbo Fisher's agent. The first phone call I'm saying is I'm calling my assistant and saying, who represented them? Who got them those deals?
I would like to be their client.
Get me Jimmy Sexton and Trace Armstrong. I want the law firm of Armstrong and Sexton. They're going to get me $90 million with a bulletproof buyout. They're going to pay me every penny to go away.
I can suck, and I'm going to get every dang nickel. Yeah, give me those guys. That's why I told you. I can't believe the whole NBA didn't hire Max Urgul after he got Enes Kanter a max extension.
Yep, he did.
Give me that guy.
Shout out Brian Kelly, having the last laugh at LSU's expense.
I couldn't believe seeing the governor. Just, you know what? Avoid the temptation to make political hay out of sports. Please. Please.
Because you're right. Now, because what's going to happen to the next LSU coach?
He's going to get fired.
He's going to get fired. Because every coach gets fired with the exception of 5 at any given time.
Ever.
Ever. Yeah.
Ever. Even
So
the
he's gonna
great
get fired.
Even the ones that don't get run out.
And
you know
now
what I
you
mean?
have to wear that, Landry, Governor Landry.
Now it's on you,
you're
bro.
the guy who
Yeah.
wanted him compensated fairly. And guess what? If you get a bad coach who's paid too little, that's going to be on you too.
And you're still not going to be as good as Georgia.
Yeah, he probably weighed in when
So
he
you
shouldn't have.
just tied your re-election hopes to the success of the LSU football program. Good call.
Good luck.
Good luck with that. I don't know. That stood out to me.
No, you're right.
Can we not, can you
You're
not
exactly right.
fire the president? If you don't like the buyout, fire the president. Fire the athletic director. I'm actually fine with him advocating for change in structure around how these things are done. I'm sure that agent or those agents are huge sleazebags, but you have to make a public grandstand about it. It feels really silly to me.
Yep. But he did. We talked about him. It worked in no way, but I think it might backfire.
Well, he lost your vote though, Ben.
I was going to campaign for him.
You're going to
go
vote.
knock on doors.
You're going to vote for Kodos.
Don't blame me.
I voted for Kodos. Stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Let's go! Complete game coverage of the Cougars is right here on the KSL Sports Zone. It's a much-needed off week for the Cougars as they rest up for the final stretch of the 25 season. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on their ways, talking sports. They got him made Jake's Alonso. Loves his tie-dye, Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my. From the islands to the basketball courts, they bring the engaging their.
Hi, this is Preston in Idaho Falls. The message is for Jake and Ben about your discussion on Kyle Whittingham, his behavior not being popular with other athletic directors in the Big 12 on the injury reports. I know you guys kind of minimize the impact, but I mean, clearly it had a huge effect on Colorado, right? They came out thinking that it was going to be Devin Dampier. They see Bird Ficklin. Everybody loses their mind, and the next thing you know, it's 43-0, and they've only moved the ball backwards in the first half. Clearly very devious and impactful behavior from Kyle Whittingham.
You two bozos are back to Utes. That's all I've heard about today is the Utes.
All right, there you go. That was first Preston, then Tyler. And they were responding to the show yesterday. I will say to Tyler, well, the Cougs are on bye week.
Yeah, they don't play this weekend.
They don't play this
There's really
weekend.
nothing to talk about right now with BYU.
Not a whole lot. You hope LJ Martin's shoulder is feeling better. But
And they were ranked number 1 in the Big 12 Power Poll, which is the most college football we've talked this week. And we said they're the best team in the Big 12 several times this week, other than Jake thinks it's Cincinnati. But,
I do.
I think it's BYU. But, yeah, BYU is not playing this weekend.
So sorry about that.
Not a whole lot to preview.
But, we aim to please, and we'll try and do better.
Do you want to break down who BYU is playing this weekend?
Go
ahead.
The practice squad.
Oh, good. No, I don't want to talk about that.
No, they're probably off having a good time this weekend. That's what bye weeks are all about.
But, Preston, thank you for listening in Idaho. And you're right. Bird Ficklin had all those sacks.
Oh,
so
well,
that was a
thank
huge.
you. Hold on. Thank you to Tyler for listening, too. We're not hating on anybody. Thanks for listening. But Preston, his comments about Coach Witt, they seemed a tad facetious,
Yeah,
no?
agreed.
Just a tad?
Yes.
I do not think the clandestine leaking about whether or not Dampier is going to play or not had any effect on the outcome of the game.
If you lose to a team because they shocked you by playing their backup quarterback, that's a you problem. A true freshman backup quarterback who's never started a game and you were unprepared for it, that's a you problem. Hey, Utah not being able to beat, who's the backup at Texas Tech? Will Hammond, that's a Utah problem. Utah not being prepared that Will Hammond can run the ball and Baron Morton can't is not Texas Tech's fault. That's Utah's fault. Absolutely. So if you're mad that Witt's doing whatever, manipulating the injury reports, only telling half-truths on the injury reports, whatever you think he's doing, if you can't beat the backup quarterback, that's a you problem. That's a your program problem. That's a your players program or problem. That's a your coaching staff's problem. That's not Kyle Whittingham or anybody else's problem.
Listing Barton on there last week was pretty funny. When we all knew he was going to miss the first half, so they put him on the injury report.
He's out.
And that's how they treat it, as funny. One more quick non-related, sports-related story, Ben, before we get out of here. But 6 nudists were arrested in Florida. But here's the thing.
They only caught 6 of them?
Ben was late to the show today.
Yeah, Ben, well, and Lloyd's not here.
I haven't seen Lloyd at all.
We haven't seen Lloyd at all. Is Salazar here? No, I didn't think so. But no. Let me ask you about this, okay? Because they went to a non-nude beach, but that was next to a nude beach, but that was closed for renovations. So these people either showed up and accidentally went on the non-nude beach, or they were really trying to make a statement. You know what I mean? But the curious thing is none of them really none of them said that they were in the wrong place. One of them just said, "I just like a tan line with
no line,
a tan with no line,
tan with no line."
And another person said, "I don't feel like I'm harming anyone." So it feels to me like these people were bent about their beach being closed and said, "You know what? They're not going to tell us what to do."
Sure they are.
In which case, I don't have any sympathy for them.
Yeah, I don't have any sympathy for them at all.
No, if they accidentally like didn't you read the sign, Larry? You're going to get us arrested. I have sympathy for that. I don't have sympathy for we're doing it. We're going to do it.
Here's my question. Was everybody else at this beach wearing a swimsuit?
Yeah, apparently.
Then it's a non-nude, not a nude beach.
This is some sort of protest then?
Yes. And you know what? You might be doing harm.
They are doing harm.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree they're doing harm. That's why I'm saying if it were an accident, I'd be like, okay, well, you guys are just kind of dumb. If this is a protest, I mean, not only are they dumb, but yes, they are doing harm.
Yeah. So lock them up.
I'm not harming anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Yes, you are. You're ruining everybody's beach day.
Look at the pictures of these people too.
It's exactly what you would think, minus the guy in the bottom right. What's his deal?
Well, this guy too. There's just 2 people in their 30s.
Yeah,
with
there's
4 other
four old people who are just like, well, what are you going to do? It's Kyle Whittingham's injury reports. It's just like, what are you going to do at this point in my career? Are you going to arrest me? I'm 85 years old.
And then 2 younger males.
And then Nick Ramos is truly a wild man.
Lloyd's not on there?
Yeah, unless this is him in a way.
I just can't imagine of all the things to protest. Nope, we're doing it. I don't care. It's being renovated? Nope, we're doing it.
I didn't bring a suit. What do you want me to do?
But I do think the scenario where it would be funny if they just accidentally happened on the wrong beach. You were supposed to take a left.
Sure.
I told you to take a left, and now we're in jail.
I bet those people, the nudists, know their territory well.
Well aware where the beach is.
Yeah, they're not taking many wrong turns.
They were mad about the renovation.
Because it's probably hard to find that. No one accidentally stumbles upon a nude beach, do
Christian,
they? I'm sure
do they?
somebody has a story.
I don't know. I
No?
live in Utah.
Well, you've been to the beach.
You're a beach goer. You're a beach. You're
not
beach
a
bum.
nude beach. Ours are all fully clothed.
Up at
Out of it-
Manaway Reservoir. Yeah,
Okay,
catch
okay.
me up there.
Wait, Manaway Reservoir. Is that a nude beach?
I was joking.
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah.
All right. Of all the staff, who's most likely
Hans Olsen.
nude beach guy?
Hans Olsen.
Hans? That
Yep.
didn't even. You think?
He's the most intimidating person.
What do you think, Christian? The whole staff, who's most likely nude beach guy? I don't know why, but I'm going Jeremiah.
Oh, I was going to say Patrick Kenahan. Yeah, I was actually going to say Patrick Kenahan. Yeah. Hans Olsen, because he's the most intimidating person. What, are you going to stop him?
Yeah, Hans would not have been arrested
Hans
in
goes
this
to Lava
circumstance.
Hot Springs. It's just like, no, it's a nude beach now.
Yeah, nobody's
Sir,
doing
this is-
anything.
It's all paved. Everyone has their clothes on. Nope.
Hans goes to the crater up at the homestead.
PK's always going to Hawaii. I don't know why.
Okay, yeah.
He's a beach
He's
guy.
going to one of those kind
And
of
he
resorts.
has a great tan.
That's a good point. All right, stay tuned. Hans and Scotty G are coming up next.
You gotta tune into the YouTube stream, see what Hans is wearing.
Jake
if
and
anything.
Ben, 97.5, the
Thanks,
KSL
Christian.
Sports Zone.